You're listening to episode 25 of Post Production Podcast. Hello and welcome, all you amazing people out there, to the Post Production Podcast. Thank you for joining us as we talk about the latest in movies and TV. I'm your host, Mr. Drew, and here with me, of course, is my co-host, Adam.
Hey, how's it going, Drew?
Not too bad, Adam. What's new today?
Talking about Ready Player One.
We are talking about Ready Player One.
Yeah, we got some things to say.
Are we going to do spoiler, non-spoiler? Just all spoilers, just get it out there.
Non-spoilers, so we'll time code it. That'll be in the description. So for right now, general thoughts. What did you think of Ready Player One?
Well, I mean, I think for me, the movie is vastly different than it would be for you.
Yeah.
Just because of
the age difference.
The age difference, and then, the culture difference also, because a lot of the things that are touched on in this movie, I don't even know if general audiences today can really even connect that much to them.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about things that are 30, 35 years old. At this point, almost almost going into 40 years old.
And it's interesting because there's a lot of pop culture references from the 80s, where it's like, even now, even kids now, like, would they even really get this?
Yeah.
Is this, like, all these references, you'd really have to be, alive in the 80s to really get these things.
Yeah.
And, play Atari and know these kind of, situations and references, but I thought there was a balance of new and old, whereas you can go into this with different levels of, history and knowledge about, pop culture and have different experiences. Like you were saying, it's a different experience for every person. So
I think this is definitely one of those movies that you can go back to and then just pick apart all, you can really focus on the things that you miss because you're more, engaged in what's actually going on in the plot versus you can go back and just start to Easter egg hunt. Yeah. Like I think a lot of people are doing. Just a quick summary for those of you who don't know anything about the movie. This is Steven Spielberg's movie, and it's an interesting collage of pop culture and references. But I mean, the basis of the I was about to say the basis of the game. The basis of the movie is it's set almost 30 years in the future.
It's 2045.
It's 2045. Basically, the world's it's just crap. Everyone's poor.
Everyone's spending all of their time in this virtual reality game called the Oasis. So, like, basically, the real world has just gone to crap, and everyone is spending their time here. And basically the Oasis is a place where you can be whoever you want, do whatever you want. I mean, they say there's no rules. There are a couple of rules, but basically you can create your own avatar. You can play different games, explore different worlds. It's really immersive, and it's really it's so much better than the real world.
Right.
And that's why people have kind of left their real world lives behind, and everything matters in the Oasis. But then the developer, the creator of the Oasis, dies and basically says, hey, I've
hidden this Easter egg, and you need 3 keys to unlock it. And
so in the game, if you solve these kind of riddles or, problems, you can get these keys, which will lead you to the Easter egg, which basically grants them billions of dollars and complete control of the Oasis.
So it's basically win the game, rule the world kind of scenario.
And then here's this guy, our main character, Wade Watts. His avatar is Parzival, and he's trying to win the game just because he apparently knows everything. He's a pop culture, just expert somehow. And there's this company IOI who's trying to win that Easter or gain that Easter egg to have complete control, because they want to put advertisements everywhere. They want to make this thing like a money machine.
And and it's a basic kind of glimpse at what we're dealing with now, because when a lot of our social media, YouTube, and just a lot of our online internet browsing and kind of enjoyment, when that first started, it was just pure and simple. It was just the content that you wanted to see.
Yeah.
And
but
now
it's turned into this.
And now it's an advertisement frenzy. You can't do anything without watching an advertisement first. You can't click on anything without watching an advertisement first. And then 20 seconds into whatever you're watching, there's another advertisement.
Yeah.
Everywhere you click on the internet, there's pop-ups and there's ads and there's just buy.
So that's essentially what they want for the Oasis is just to make it this complete money machine. But anyway, for me, I actually enjoyed this movie. I had no expectations for it, and I didn't know what to really expect. I remember when the first trailer came out, I actually thought it looked really cool. I was really intrigued by it. I didn't know really what it was. There wasn't a lot of plot. There was just a lot of, hey, look at all of these things in this virtual reality world. Here's some people racing. Here's some different locations. I was like, all right, that looks pretty cool. So I didn't know what to expect, but I heard it was better than maybe what was thought initially. So I was pretty excited to get in there, and I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, Steven Spielberg hasn't had a real hit in a while. I can't really remember his last crazy adventure that everyone really loved. But
he's been kind of
been on the low.
Yeah, on the low down.
Yeah, for a little bit. But of course, it's Steven Spielberg, so he has to produce some level of quality, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's more, I think, he did The Post, he directed The Post, and that was,
it's
that was
it's an Oscar movie. It's a different kind of movie.
I mean, the BFG was hit or miss. Bridge of Spies was good, but it wasn't great. Lincoln, good, not great. Warhorse was good. Then again, I mean, these are all kind of I think particular movies that, I think the last big, money blockbuster that he had was the last Indiana Jones movie. But then, of course,
that still
it wasn't well received. I mean, it was the hype was there, but then everybody saw the movie and they were like, "What is this garbage?"
Yeah, exactly. So I think as an action adventure kind of director, I think Steven Spielberg has kind of regained his footing a little bit, because he is doing Indiana Jones 5.
He is doing Indiana Jones 5. I think this movie for him is a gimme.
Why?
Because, this movie could have gone way wrong. It could have been absolutely horrible. But at the same time, if you're a decent director, which Steven Spielberg, absolutely is beyond a decent director, how can you not make this an enjoyable movie? It's basically just a collection of nostalgia.
Yeah.
So on that premise alone, it's at least a first base hit. And then you just have to push the envelope a little bit to make it a decent movie, which
I think
it hit and misses on a couple of things. So for me, looking at it as, oh, this is a Steven Spielberg movie, I'm going, yeah, man, this is a nice, safe movie for you.
I don't know if it's a safe movie, though, because I feel like this movie could have been really bad. It could have been terrible, but he made it not terrible. He made it an enjoyable film for what it was. You do have to kind of immerse yourself in this world, and kind of just go along with these characters that, honestly, it could have just been bad. I just saw, we saw Pacific Rim. I probably enjoyed this movie better than Pacific Rim, just because it's a lot more fun to me.
Right.
And it's a more interesting world. But I'd say they're kind of both those kind of popcorn, feel good, have fun kind of movies. So,
well, I think for this one, it has a couple things going for it, because if I was to look at this movie just as an up and up movie, would I go and see it again? No. I mean, it wasn't so fantastic that I was like, man, I really want to see this again. What would make me want to go see it again is to see if I can pick out all of the things that I missed, because there's so much going on in this movie. There's so much nostalgia. There's so many Easter eggs.
Yeah.
So that's the leg up that it has. But if I was to just strip it down to the bare bones, I'd be like, yeah, the acting wasn't that great. Yeah. It was actually a little bit bad, from the human actor point of view. Yeah. It's all just Avatar CGI, virtual reality based. So I'd be like, yeah.
And everything in the world, like whenever we went to the real world in this movie, I was not very interested in what was going on. I just wanted to stay in the Oasis. I understand there has to be a plot that kind of pushes everyone forward, but like, and they have to do this kind of quest. But if it was just like, if it just took place at the Oasis, like I would be okay with that. I didn't need IOI. I didn't need Ben Mendelsohn's character. I think that all kind of like, I get why I was there, but it wasn't the best part. It was probably the worst part for me, at least.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for non-spoilers. Yeah, I would say, I mean, if you had to score this movie, like what would you score out of 10?
I mean, I would probably go 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Because like I said earlier, if I was to strip it down, it's not really that great of a movie.
Yeah, it's a very
it's a guilty pleasure movie. I would rank it up. I mean, it's one of those things like, yeah, I had fun watching it. It was cool, but there's nothing to draw me back as far as this is a great performance. These are people I want to see in. I'm invested in these characters. I'm invested in these actors.
Exactly.
There's none of that.
Yeah. It's really interesting and it's difficult. It's difficult because I did enjoy this movie, but yeah, exactly what you said. There's no specific performance or character that is really like, this is amazing. I want to see this person again. Like, I don't really get that.
Yeah.
It's really just a world that is so intriguing. But like for me, I would say like 7. For like personally 7. I wouldn't go back for anything other than that Easter egg hunt. Just looking in the background for characters that I didn't catch before.
Yeah. And this is actually a movie that I would consider going and seeing in 3D.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty good in 3D.
That's the reviews that I've seen as well, but then again, it's really hard to justify pushing out a $20+ ticket on something I've already seen. It's not that great. So basically, I'm just going to go and see if the eye candy is even better.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, we'll see. Spoilers?
Big spoilers. Spoilers.
Yeah. If you haven't,
frickin' point.
If you haven't watched the movie, stop listening. If you don't care, you can keep listening.
Yeah.
All right. So
spoilers.
So I just want to start off straight with one of my favorite parts of the movie was The Shining. The Shining was such a pleasant surprise. The whole scene was really, really cool. And the way they recreated it, it looked great up until, they go into the gold room.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Like, I thought it was hilarious. I love how the character H was like, yeah, I've never seen The Shining. I don't know what's going on. And then just goes and does everything you shouldn't do if you're in The Shining. Anyone who's seen The Shining would know. When you see the 2 little girls, just run away.
Yeah, just run away. Yeah.
When you see that elevator start opening, just run away. And don't go into that room.
That was a brilliant... I mean, when they brought that in, I was like, oh, this is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And the way that they did it, the way they incorporated, H into the scene, especially the scene when he goes into the hotel room and then there's the naked lady. And he's just like, yeah, hey, naked lady. So we're looking for a key.
Like, just so oblivious to what's going on. So funny.
But then they went into the ballroom and they ruined it for me. They took me completely out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay because we needed to actually get to what, what's his name? James Halliday. Mm-hmm. Like what he set up and what he had hidden in that world. And I think it made sense because you go into the gold room and if you've seen The Shining, that's not what that is. So that's kind of where it has to be. Does that make sense?
No, I get it, but I mean, for anybody who's seen The Shining, some of the best dialogue and interaction is in the ballroom with Jack Nicholson's character and the bartender.
Yeah, but then you'd have to.
That was a missed opportunity because they could have gone in the ballroom and it could have been full of regular people, and Holiday's lost love could have been hidden in there. And right up front, right, like the blazing thing to see is this bartender, and you go and you have this great interaction with this bartender of wordplay and all of these kind of references, and you could have picked out the location. I mean, that for me, I was like, God, that was such a missed opportunity, and you turn it into this floating zombie jump fest, and I was like, okay, I think that was kind of like a gimme to the younger crowd because that's what they're expecting is some kind of action.
Yeah, something a little more action,
a little bit more zombie infested, which has nothing to do with The Shining.
But whatever. I mean, I was okay with it ultimately because if this movie was just a minute longer, I don't know if I would be okay with it. So
it was long.
It was long.
It was way longer than it needed to be, I think.
2 hours and 20 minutes. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of things that could have been cut out or just, I don't even know if they could be cut out because this movie is so kind of convoluted and just there's so many elements to this movie and not all of them are super interesting. Mm-hmm. So I would want to cut them out, but then the movie wouldn't make sense. So I think it is all necessary to a point. But yeah, I think they really did the best they could with the source material because apparently this movie is very different from the book. From what I've heard, it's very different. Like the whole Shining sequence is not in the book. There's a few sequences in the book that are not in the movie. Where literally, I mean, it's kind of like The Shining, where you literally get dropped into a movie and you have to kind of play your way through as if you're the main character. And like that wouldn't have worked if it was a straight up adaptation of The Shining. Like if he was, what's his name? Jack Nicholson's character.
Right.
I forget his name in the movie.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. But like that, it would be a different kind of movie and it would kind of take you out, I think. I don't know. I think this was more enjoyable than playing as the main character. You just get kind of dropped in and you have to deal with everything going on.
I like the premise of the movie. I like the way they set it up. I think there was a lot of missed opportunities. Some things didn't make any sense, and we talked about this a little bit, because you're given this idea of, oh, this is the oasis. This is where everybody goes. This is this virtual reality. You can be who you want. You can do what you want. You can play what you want, however you want. If you want to go shoot things, you can shoot things. If you want to go surf on a beach, you can go surf on a beach.
Yeah, you could literally do anything.
And then, Holiday dies. He drops this kind of Easter egg hunt. And what I thought was very kind of, which didn't make any sense, and I don't think it made sense to a lot of people, was why there was this 5-year gap between the start of this whole hunt and our character comes in and now he starts to figure things out. And it's just like,
see, I don't think that was needed.
That would have never happened. There would have never been a 5-year gap. There's so many. I mean, you have enough people in our current, right now, in present time, that are so invested in pop culture and figuring things out. And
I mean, how many Easter egg videos are there on YouTube? And like, even for this movie alone, like there are so many videos of look at all these references. So like if this oasis was a real thing, like those same people would be like, yeah, this is how you do it. Like it would be uncovered almost immediately. Yeah. Like people
within the next couple of days, if not a week, it would have been source material and it would have been data mined.
Yeah.
Whether or not, I don't know if they would have had access to that, but I mean, Holiday even set up a library, like a knowledge base.
Yeah, and like
they would have ripped that shreds and found every little clue.
Yeah, I found it kind of weird that he was the only one that went back and was actually using that place.
Yeah.
It's like, he put this here for a reason. And he used it to his advantage, but like no one else did. And that's what I didn't really understand is like, I don't think it was needed that like because in the trailers it seems like he
died immediately,
and then immediately people
then everybody starts scrambling.
I think that would have been way better.
Yeah.
And it would have made more sense, and it would have been more believable. Like, it definitely would be, because like what we've been hearing is like all the people on Reddit, all the people on the internet, like they would have solved this like super fast. Like, they wouldn't need, like, this whole quest would not even be necessary.
Yeah.
Like, people would like band together, or maybe wouldn't even need to, and just solve it like almost immediately.
And it, when he went to the library and he watched whatever that clip that he watched, and Holiday said, yeah, put pedal to the metal and go backwards. Like, that was such an obvious
That was
reference.
really obvious, yeah.
Like, I didn't believe his character had the knowledge to dissect anything, because that was such an obvious gimme.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, either he's just normal and everyone else is just an idiot, or this whole thing just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. You'd have to assume that everyone else is an idiot, even though they kind of show there are other people that IOI has hired that are super knowledgeable in pop culture and stuff. But like, yeah, that's pretty obvious. But maybe not everyone wanted to go and look at his memories. Like, maybe they didn't, think that was necessary or something. I don't know. But yeah,
I think the only, and this is just me, kind of spitballing, the only thing I can think of that makes the 5-year gap, or any gap, even relatively kind of make any sense, is it sets up the premise of IOI being this conglomerate and basically hunting this thing. Because there wasn't really kind of an understanding of whether or not they existed when Holiday was alive. I don't think Holiday would have allowed it to exist if he was alive.
I think the only reason for that
the only reason that there was this kind of gap.
Because there had to be this kind of company that was based solely on the objective of getting that Easter egg.
Yeah. But, thinking about this movie and the way that they kind of did it, I think it would have been a better plot and a better storyline if IOI didn't exist.
Yeah, if it was just him against,
if it was like TJ Miller's character against them, and he's like, I've been playing this for forever. I have all this gold. I have all these items. I have all this. I want to rule this world. That
that would have been like more interesting.
This main villain versus the underdogs would have been funner. It would have been more sinister, instead of
and you don't know who's behind that character. Like, you don't know where he is, and you don't know his motives, and the fact that everything matters, like nothing matters in the real world. Everything matters in the Oasis. So like, this guy is like the best player in the Oasis, and he's trying to get it, and he's not a good dude. Like, that would be more interesting than the whole IOI thing.
Yeah.
But
with the legions of all these people.
Yeah, it was whatever. Like, for me, like, the first race, like, it's funny because, like, why wouldn't anyone just, even by accident, like, just go backwards? Like, it's really simple the way it was won. Like, it's just so simple that after 5 years, like, you really, like, no one, like, even tried, like, something different. Like, unless it's something like where it costs a lot of money to get in and you don't want to risk that, like, but they didn't make that completely clear. Yeah. So, like, if you could just go and do this race as many times as you want, you would just be trying literally anything.
Well, from what I gathered, if you race and you lose, like, if you get taken out of the race, you get reset to 0. Yeah. Whatever that, and that's what that term is. So you lose all your gold, you lose your item, you lose all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of people, it's not worth the race because no one's won it.
No one's won it. Everyone has died.
And it's so difficult. No one ever gets past the monkey.
Yeah, no one gets past King Kong. And to be honest, like, I really, really enjoyed that whole sequence though. Like, that race looked absolutely insane. And I had a really good time with that scene. His DeLorean was really cool. I liked the way it was all set up. The T-Rex and the, King Kong. Like, that, it's one thing, like, playing a game like that, but to actually be in that world and literally get smashed by King Kong. Like that would be insane. So I would love to be in that kind of world. I've always wanted to have a video game like that where it's just this amalgamation of different characters and vehicles, and there's monster trucks racing, motorcycles and super bikes and all these things. Like that is a really cool kind of premise for a game. But yeah, so ended up going backwards and winning the whole thing.
Yeah. It'd be amazing if Spielberg and whatever production company is involved with this movie is when they release this movie on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, if they give people who own virtual reality headsets a little bit of maybe a kind of an extra Easter egg where there's a program or there's something that you can put on your computer that you can load into your virtual reality, and you can jump from perspective to perspective to perspective, from H driving the Bigfoot to Percival driving the DeLorean to Artemis driving the Akira bike. That would be fantastic.
Dude, that would be sick. Like, and I'm surprised that out of every movie that releases some kind of VR kind of thing, like this movie didn't. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point of this movie.
It's all about VR.
But like the second, we already covered like The Shining and all that. I thought it was interesting how they kind of got to that point where the clue was like he hated his own creation or something like that, and it made sense because we talked about this when we watched, because we did a Shining episode earlier, and that was my first time watching it. And Stephen King like hates the adaptation that Stanley Kubrick made, and like it made sense. Like I was actually like a little bit ahead of that. I was like that would make sense. And then it was The Shining, and I was like, all right, so what are they going to do with The Shining? And then they just go to the Overlook Hotel. I just thought that whole scene was really, really cool. And that would be like, I would watch that again, just that scene alone.
For me, that was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it really was.
Because it was such a pleasant surprise, and I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, I had a smile on my face the whole time.
And the first couple of scenes were like, okay, this is exactly how you do an Easter egg like this. This is exactly how you kind of fold this in. And, then it kind of, whatever.
Now, how do you like the characters? Like, let's start with Parzival, Wade Watts. I mean, how do you like him?
Okay, so, I told you I had certain expectations going into this movie, and I knew... I was hoping, but I knew I was going to get triggered and I was going to be disappointed in what I saw. Because, I saw the previews and I already saw what, the main character's avatar looked like. And I knew what the female lead's avatar was going to look like, and some of the supporting characters. But I was really hoping for a little bit more imagination on maybe some of the other supporting characters or cast or whatever. And I didn't see that. We basically had, again, it was basically a montage of what we currently see, not something that we might see in 30 years.
Yeah. It's
what we currently see. So, Wade Watts, played by, Ty Sheridan, his avatar is Percival. You know what? He's a character directly out of like a Final Fantasy game.
He's like
he's got the spiky hair, he's got the slender build.
Yeah.
They put some kind of 3D mapping texture to his face, but he's a Final Fantasy character.
Yeah, there's nothing really to that character.
Olivia Cook's character, Artemis. She looks like any number of Japanese anime characters.
Yeah.
In that sense.
There wasn't a lot of creativity as far as their characters, and that was a little bit disappointing. And then there's also just, people running around with like these skins of like Batman or like Harley Quinn or like any of these other characters in like pop culture. You have like the Halo guys, the like Overwatch people, like all these characters. But they're just the characters. Like, there's no... Like, one thing that was upsetting to me is, like, why not, like, have... Like, what we were saying is, like, Batman, but, like, he's Hello Kitty.
Yeah,
like,
he's Hello Kitty Batman. Yeah, there wasn't any kind of...
There wasn't, like, real customization.
There wasn't any customization, yeah. And even, and we were talking about this, you really only see one of this or one of that. I think the only kind of sidebar was there was a group of people playing Halo.
Yeah.
The sergeant, the general, or what's this, Master Sergeant, I think, is the Halo, guy. But they were all the same color.
Yeah,
they're not all going to be the same color. There's going to be a black one and a blue one and a pink one and a gray one and a purple one.
Yeah, I would have loved
a polka dot one.
Yeah, I would have loved to see like some real like custom like avatars like that. Like I don't know. I think, and I get it because you'd want people to pick them out and be like, oh, that's the Halo guy. Oh, that's the Overwatch. Like it doesn't make like for me like have that, but also have like these crazy characters. Like, I don't know. I think that was kind of a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like with the whole Parzival and Artemis thing, where she's like, "Oh yeah, like you wouldn't like me in real life. Like I'm
this hideous beast.
You wouldn't like.
Yeah.
You wouldn't like what you see. But to me, I'm just like if he can look past your avatar and like still fall in love with you, like." I don't see why, like, I don't know, like, it was not believable to me, like, and then she shows up, and she's just some pretty girl with, like, this really minor birthmark, and it's like, okay, like,
yeah,
really? Like, yeah, and they could have done something so, like, different with that, because, like, it's a missed opportunity to do something crazy, like, if she was actually a guy, and he had already fallen in love. And then, like, that would be really interesting because then, that would be a whole different dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, that was completely missed. And, like, I think they could have done something. Or if they were just regular-looking people, like Ty Sheridan and Olivia Cook, they're attractive people, right? But if they were just, not the cookie-cutter kind of Hollywood, movie star, that could have been really interesting.
I think it would have been more believable.
Yeah.
And not to say good-looking people can't be nerds and pop culture aficionados and this and that, but in a world where everyone plugs in to be something they're not.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm a good-looking guy and I'm playing a good-looking guy in the real thing. So it's like you're not giving us any kind of you're not progressing in any way where, a lot of people, even in online dating, in chat rooms, that was the thing is like, I can be whoever I want. I can talk however I want. I can be sexy. I can not be sexy.
This is the disconnect from this movie to the real world. It's like, how many catfish there would be like in the Oasis, like so many people that are just like these, sexy kind of avatars that kind of lure other people in, and they're just average people, or they're just creeps. Like they didn't play into that at all. And I get like there's so much, like this world is so vast, and there could be those things going on, but we just didn't have time to really explore.
Well, what I thought was fun is, and for me, the best character in this movie was H.
Yeah,
who turned out to be a woman.
Yeah,
and she's playing this big ogre
looking
with
thing,
cybernetics and all this other stuff, and creates and builds, has this shop and does all these things, and and even tells Percival, hey man, you don't know who this chick is. She could be a 500, 300-pound dude.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know because H is a woman.
Yeah, exactly. But you wouldn't see that. But
great reveal.
Really cool. And of course, played by Lena Waithe, who she's like, as an actor, she's in Master of None, which is such a great show that I watch. One of my favorite shows. She's also a writer. She writes on that show. I think she does The Shy and a few other ones. She was that first African-American woman who won a writing Emmy. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, she's like on the rise right now. So I'm really glad to see her in this.
I thought she was fantastic.
She really was, yeah. The other people in their little group were kind of forgettable. I mean, they weren't really that interesting to me. There wasn't a lot of screen time for them either.
There wasn't, but the other two supporting of, because they make this group the High Five.
The High Five.
so you have Percival, you have Artemis, and then you have H, and then you have these two basically ninja dudes,
kind of ninja characters,
which are both played by well, one's an Asian boy and the other one's an older Asian
boy
guy or whatever. And it's like, all right, again, missed opportunity. I mean, it's cool that one of them was like an 11-year-old boy, and he kind of homes this in. He's like,
yeah,
like, do I have to put on my name tag? I'm an 11-year-old boy. No, I don't. I can just be whoever I want.
Yeah.
But then, the other guy could have been someone totally different.
Yeah.
Like, could have been that 300-pound dude or whatever.
They could have really had some. I mean, and I think it is a diverse cast, but they could have pushed the envelope even more. Like, this is a movie to do it, right? Like, this is a movie to really push that, but they didn't, and a little bit of a missed opportunity, but at the end of the day, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have anything else to say.
I don't know. I could pick it apart for hours and hours, but I mean, that's not the,
well,
the
what were
point
some,
of this.
All right, so, like, what were some of the, I mean, this is an Easter egg full movie, so, like, what were some of the Easter eggs for you that, like, you caught that were, like, because we talked about this, like, the dialogue and the characters, they're not necessarily that interesting, and to a point you're like, oh, come on, like, let's kind of move on, or you're not really enjoying it, you would say, and then something happens where they reference something and you're like, oh, it's that thing, and then you kind of get put into that movie again.
Well, for me watching this movie, because I play virtual reality, I've grown up with all of these things. I had an Atari, which I loved, and which I thought was funny because I'm not a pop culture aficionado and in no way, sense, or form, but I never played Adventure. I never owned Adventure because it was one of those games that I would have probably, even as a kid, looked at and go, yeah, that doesn't look like it's very fun. It's a dot that going around and does whatever. No, I want to play Joust. I want to play Space Invaders. I want to play the more action-oriented games, Pitfall, and things like that. So, for me, I was looking at it. I was going, yeah,
out of all the
games,
you're gonna pick that.
And I don't know if really that was the first game that had the very first Easter egg in it. Probably it was. So that made sense, but I don't know. For me, that was kind of a disconnect. I loved the Shining part. For me, the magical phrase that they used for the
like the orb,
with the shield. For me, that was fantastic because he said it the first time, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is that from?"
Yeah.
And then I figured it out that it was from Excalibur, which is one of my all-time favorite fantasy movies of all time. Because
that's so funny that you caught that. Like, I don't think I haven't heard that yet.
And I haven't seen it in any of the reviews, and I was like, how is this not like scratching people's heads?
That's an Easter egg in itself.
That's like a massive Easter egg, and there were a couple other things, the big the big throwing star that one of the guys used was from Kroll, which is another movie that probably people have never even heard of, never seen, but it was a movie, it was one of those B-rated sci-fi movies that I grew up watching because it was this fantastic adventure, with this magical throwing star.
See, and that's cool because there's so many Easter eggs that they have room to do stuff like that where they're so hidden or there's a scene where it's used, but like so many people it would go over their heads.
Yeah.
But a very small handful of people would understand. And like those are the Easter eggs that are really, really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun that the holy hand grenade was in there. And they didn't have to pounce on that, for those people who have seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, that was a big gimme. That was a massive smile on their face. I think for a lot of people that are just like, I don't know what the holy hand grenade is, but cool, whatever, So, there's a lot of those instances where it's like, oh, all right, cool, man. That drew me back in. But all in all, it's like, man, there was parts of this movie I was just going, like the beginning, I think the first one, my wife fell asleep. Like I looked over and she was just out cold, in the first 20 minutes. I'm just like going, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And then she woke up, but I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like this, it wasn't engaging enough.
It's a lot of exposition
to just pull me in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, it's an okay movie. There's a lot of eye candy in it, a lot of references that are pretty enjoyable. But at the end of the day, it's a pretty mediocre storyline with kind of mediocre performances. But it's not by any stretch a bad movie. Yeah, I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this as well. It was a real disconnect when they went to the real world, because for me, it wasn't believable. It was so,
they tried to set up some rules and some circumstances, but it was just, no.
Yeah. Anyways, but go see it. It's a great guilty pleasure.
I would say,
it's a lot of fun stuff. I think for those people that are big into Easter eggs, you're going to have to go see it a second time, maybe even a third time if you want to try to catch everything. I've seen a couple of Easter egg videos, and I was like, yeah, man.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that.
80% of the stuff you just rattled off, I missed because there's so much going on, especially the ending, the ending fight
final
scene,
battle.
The final battle, which, I mean, kudos to Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
So good.
So good.
And I'm glad they did Mechagodzilla and not like the real Godzilla or something else like that, because everyone's seen enough of the real Godzilla, but it was fun to see Mechagodzilla.
Yeah. That's cool.
And, Iron Giant was, for me, fantastic because that's one of my all-time favorite, kind of anime movies.
Yeah.
Because it was so well done back in the day.
Yeah, it was good to see the Iron Giant again. It was cool. The whole final battle was like really, it was pretty good just to see all those characters. But like, there's a lot of characters that you would miss. So like that scene alone, you could just kind of keep your eyes peeled for different people. So, I think that's about it. What do you think? That's good. Enough. Pretty good. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next time. Not sure what we're doing next week. I think A Quiet Place comes out this week.
A Quiet Place comes out.
I heard it was pretty good.
I've heard some great things about it.
I'm excited, and I'm not much of a horror fan, but when a story is done well, like I'm all for it. So like this looks pretty good. So I'm excited. So that will be next week.
I'm hoping that the theater I go and see it in, people are going to be, they're going to act accordingly.
Yeah, I don't want someone chopping on their popcorn or like messing with their candy. Like this is a movie there's not a lot of sound.
There's not a lot of sound. This is a
I can hear
movie.
you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please don't pull out your phone. If you pull out your phone,
you're getting slapped.
If you don't want to get smacked, stay out of my theater.
But so
I think I'll bring a collapsible baton with me just in case, and
please
I'll just break someone's fingers.
Please don't. Anyway. All right, guys. We will see you next time.
Join us next week.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for listening to Post Production Podcast. If you'd like to reach the show, you can email us any questions or comments at postproductionpod@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. All those links are in the description below.
And if you like this podcast, hit that subscribe button and let us know by leaving a rating and review on iTunes. We really appreciate it. See you guys next time.